saw the work she put into it. I saw the work she put in. She did the work.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ladies' night, where I'm having issues trying to turn the volume down on the music and introduce our show. Sorry about that. We are really top-notch professionals here. Whenever I'm running something, it's top-notch. That's all I can say. Well, I'm Carrie, and Jerry is here too. And Jerry, how are you doing tonight, love?
I'm good. I'm free. I'm childless.
You finally did it, didn't you? You finally packed her up and sent her to like live in an orphanage. Wow.
No, the children on eBay.
Oh, good. You made money that way.
Exactly. Come on.
What did you do with your poor daughter? What happened?
She is with her aunt and uncle and cousin, and they're down in Philly tonight.
Oh,
And they
nice.
will be flying to Florida tomorrow. And they'll be there
Oh,
until Saturday night.
oh, good for her and good for you.
So Mama's flying solo.
Yeah,
Woo!
woof. Nice. You can kick back and do whatever you want. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm glad that she's getting away, but oh no, Florida in June, July, August? No, 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 no. It's too.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck they're thinking, but they had to wait for the school year to end for their kid, and it didn't
Mm-hmm.
end until today.
Yeah,
So
no, I get that. Yeah, it's good when like the school year, if like, so I think a lot of schools end like right around this week. I think New York City goes to the end of June. New York State too. Sorry, all of New York goes to the end of June because they do Regents exams. um, but I know that a lot of schools are out now. So I think my old school in Pennsylvania, the last day is Wednesday. So it's all a rough. Well, I guess KJ got out a little early. I guess for northeastern Pennsylvania, it seems good for her.
yep, she was done last Tuesday.
To be done, that'd be lovely. I'm grateful that like right now like we're not in person, and so I'm grateful that we aren't because um, tomorrow would be starting Regents exams, but New York State has said that the students don't have to take them if they don't want to. And in our school, grades 6 to 12, I mean, eighth graders can take the Regents, depends on the Regents. But so 8 through 12, there's literally two students through grades 8 through 12 who've decided they want to take a Regents exam. So I'm like, good for you. So
Woohoo!
yeah, so if we were in person, like we'd still have like the kids coming in and like dragging their feet, and it's hot, and like the school, the air conditioner doesn't work right. Last week it was on the fritz for the people who were in person, and oh my god, it was something like 86 degrees in one of the classrooms, and like it went worse in another one, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm good, thanks. So
Do
Ugh.
schools still have finals? Like I remember being in high school and our classes had finals.
Yeah, well,
It was like the last week of school you had to do finals.
yes,
I
I
don't
think
think my daughter did.
really, because when I taught at Delaware Valley, we had final exams. In New York, they don't really generally do finals because you do regents, so it's sort of like a final instead. If you're in a class that's not a regents required class, like the teacher sometimes gives like a final project or something like that. But yeah, I'm
Because we
surprised.
always had the last week was always finals and you
Yeah,
had to wait for your grade.
yeah.
So it took like a week till you got your grades. She had her grades the next day.
Well, crazy pandemic
Unless she
life
did it and I didn't know. I don't know.
could be right. Yeah, probably didn't worry her no matter
Montreal,
what.
tell me something. Come on.
Well, maybe she just didn't. It wasn't a big deal to her. So, you know, I mean, she is brilliant. So, I mean, probably finals
No.
wouldn't have made a big deal. So,
Well, she's not brilliant, but she's book smart.
okay, there you go. All right, yes, yes, you can be book smart and street dumb. Yeah.
Well, let's not give her the brilliant yet.
Okay. Is she listening? I'm sorry. She's not brilliant. She's got to work very hard for whatever grade she can get. No.
I'm sure she's not listening.
There we go. Okay, so it's fine. It's okay that I called her brilliant then.
Yeah. Don't let it go to her head, please. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So, we said last week we were going to cover a topic tonight.
We did, And what
Actually,
is
2
that?
weeks ago, and we missed it last week.
Yeah, because we were crazy.
We were talking about something else.
What are we talking about tonight?
Cheating and cheaters.
Oh, okay. This can be a rough one for sure. Okay,
This was the topic we said we were going to cover.
right. All
So if
right.
anybody's listening, put in your comments,
Yep.
questions, and concerns, and we'll try to help you.
Yep. It's it's a rough topic. I
I've
mean,
been on both sides of it.
I have been on one side of it, and I'm not proud of that. I've been the cheater twice.
You ho you.
I know, I know. Well, to be fair, the first time I cheated, like literally, I was married to a gay man. Just saying. I didn't know he was gay at the time, so it doesn't totally excuse it, but I did try a lot of stuff, so we'll get there. We'll get there. So, where do you want to start with this?
Well, see, I think what we need to really define is what is actually
Mm,
considered cheating
and especially in
and
today's
how far is
technology,
cheating.
yeah, yeah, it's. I think it's different now than it was, 15 years ago because technology has, even
Made it
20 years
way
ago now.
easier.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. All right, so let's start with that. How do you define cheating? Where's the line? Where's the line? That's a good point to start.
See, it is a hard line because so many
Mm-hmm.
people think that cheating is, well, when you have sex with someone
Right.
or when you're seeing someone, even just dating someone else while you're with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I say cheating is more than that.
Okay.
There is the act of cheating, and then there's cheating.
Okay.
The act of cheating is, yes, you physically have a relationship with someone else while you're with someone.
Okay. Does that have to be sexual in nature, or can it be before that happens?
I say if feelings get involved, then there's cheating.
Okay.
If you're starting to have feelings for the other person you're just quote unquote seeing, you're just having coffee
Mm-hmm.
with, if you're starting to feel more than a friend,
Mm-hmm.
to me, you're cheating.
Okay. And then anything beyond that, absolutely. Like if somebody tries
Absolutely.
to hold your
Oh, you have
hand,
sex
or
with someone else, you're done. You're
what's that?
cheating. You're having sex with someone, you're
Oh,
cheating.
but what I mean, back it up. Like, what about like
Holding hands,
giving
kissing.
a kiss? Yeah.
I look at it this way: if you kiss someone as a friend
Mm-hmm.
and it's not something you would want to do in front of your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a guilt. And
Yep.
if you're feeling the guilt, then you're cheating.
Gotcha.
That's just my opinion. I
Yeah,
could be 100% wrong.
that seems fair to me. I
But if
think,
you're
yeah.
doing anything, like if you're texting someone, sexting someone,
Mm-hmm.
sending pictures to someone, if you wouldn't want your significant other to see those texts,
Mm.
then you're damn close to being cheating.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's a good definition. So we can work with that. All right. So,
Oh,
so that's the physical aspect. So then you were going to say another piece to that.
I was?
I thought so. You said
Yeah.
you said two things, and I wanted to back up and ask about like where the physical line was. So
God.
it's not sex. It can be before that.
There's sex cheating, there's emotion cheating. It's, again, it just really goes to if you're doing something that you would not want your spouse to know about,
Right.
then you need to think, what am
Before
I
you do
doing?
it. Right. Okay.
And everyone, like, I know when I got with my second husband, because my first husband cheated on me for years,
Mm-hmm.
and I finally had enough. But I told them, oh, if we ever meet someone else and we think there's something better, we're just gonna split and we won't have any hard feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that didn't go as planned.
Gotcha.
um, because with technology, like you had said,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy to hide conversations.
Oh yeah.
All you do is hit delete, they're gone.
Yep.
Um, and people don't share passwords. And that was a big fight that me and my husband had. I said, "You can have every single password, everything I own. I have nothing to hide."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, so I don't want to check your stuff." I'm
Oh.
like, "Well, why don't you share yours with me?" And he's like, "You're supposed to trust me. I shouldn't have to share them."
Oh.
And I said, "Well, that right there makes me not trust you
Right.
because it seems like you're hiding something."
Agreed.
And I think the trust was already busted because I did see some messages he had, and it was actually with another girl that was dating another guy at the fire department,
Oh, jeez.
and she was no lie 20 years younger.
Mm.
And I was like, "Holy shit."
Wow.
It was like, "Oh, it was so great to see you, and you're such a great guy." And I'm like, "All right, well, that's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see you. Okay, well, fire department. Okay, yeah, good."
Right. It's like a different thing with the fire department with everybody involved. Yeah, they're all very like, close to each other. Yeah.
Right, and she's not a member of the fire department. She's just one of the like the fire wives. We're
Right.
all in group
Right.
too. So I thought, okay, she must have showed up or something. And he was like, "Yeah, next time we'll have to, go behind the shed a little sooner." And,
Oh.
I was like, "Behind the shed? Yeah, that's not friend talk.
No.
I've been behind the shed.
Right.
I know those terms, babe."
And it wasn't the woodshed.
No, it wasn't. No. Well, actually, it was. It's where they keep some of the firewood. But anyway, different woodshed. It's not the VOP woodshed.
There we go.
So it's like once you have that trust broken, it's very hard to repair it.
Yeah.
And cheating leaves a lot of scars.
Oh, yeah.
I know my ex left a lot of scars on me. So I think when I started noticing some of the repeat habits, which granted, they could have been absolutely nothing, but because I was cheated on, the habits appeared
Right.
bigger, more elaborate, and I jumped faster.
Mm-hmm. That's totally understandable.
Especially when it came down to where my husband was only giving me sex once a year.
Wow. Yep. No, I get that. I definitely get that.
I went from February of 2016 to February 2017.
Mm-hmm. I
And then I went
understand.
from February 2017 until never.
Yep.
It stopped
Yeah.
completely. So
And then
that's
you
when
question
I became
yourself.
the cheater. Oh, my self esteem was shot.
Yep. I
Like
hear you.
completely shot. Like, oh my God, I must be horrible and disgusting and
Right.
everything else because he doesn't want anything to do with me.
Yep.
So when another guy was showing me attention and another guy was showing me attention and another guy was showing me attention, it was like, "Ooh, this is pretty cool."
Yep.
I had three guys I was flirting with.
Yep.
Two were only on, phone chat and
Right.
messages and stuff. But the one was a car club member.
Mm.
And, one thing led to another, but we never had actual intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
That I can honestly say. And that's the biggest joke about it because it went all around the car club that I was a slut and a tramp and I slept with him. I'm
Gotcha.
like, we never did that.
Right.
We would honestly sit and park. Yeah, we made out,
Mm-hmm.
but sex was never on the table. It never happened
Right.
for like 6 months. And then it blew up. And boy, did it blow up.
How did it come to light?
He was an idiot, and I think he wanted to get caught.
Okay.
He was in a marriage that he said was miserable, and his wife didn't have sex with him, and he was miserable. And I never met his wife. She was never at any of the car club stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was taking me different places and introducing me to people. And he said their marriage was over. He couldn't wait till his son turned 18 in December, and then he would be done and he could walk away. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, my marriage was shot by then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot going on in my marriage.
Right.
And so he left his computer open at home while we were out hanging out.
Oh, come on.
So she actually texted me and said, "If you think he's so great, you can have him."
Oh, oh, that would have been a rough text to receive. Oh my God.
I got that text and I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And I showed him and he's like, "Oh shit, I got to get home." I'm like, "Yeah, you better get home." And he's like, "Yeah, before she destroys my cars because
Wow.
she's a little psycho." Um, Proven because she was actually committed like a week later.
Oh Jesus.
But then it was like everything calmed down. Me and him, the car club was done for the year. We sent texts back and forth, basically, "Are you okay?" Making sure everything was, copacetic.
Mm-hmm.
And then some random person set up a fake Facebook Messenger account and was messaging my husband. Now, keep in mind, me and my husband were already split.
Mm-hmm.
He was living downstairs. I was living upstairs for a month already. This person sent my husband a message and his wife a message telling them that they saw us together and we were holding hands and we were having sex in a car,
Wow.
and like I was a slut and I was a tramp and I was a bad example for my daughter because I was doing it around my daughter.
Oh jeez.
I'm like, first of all, my daughter goes to the car club meetings with me at the time. She was going to every show with me.
Mm-hmm.
I would never put my daughter in a position
Right.
where she would have to either lie or could tell my husband something.
Right. Yeah. No, that's crazy.
So she knew us as friends. The people in the car club knew us as friends. A couple knew us as more of that because they're close friends to mine, and we went to a dance with them.
Right.
And he was all over me.
Mm-hmm.
Not all over me. We were dancing a lot.
Right.
So we don't know who this random person was. It was a complete fake profile, the whole 9 yards. These messages went on for like 3 days
Whoa.
with all this stuff saying that I taught my daughter that it was okay to hold hands with strangers
Oh, for God's
and that
sake.
it's just friends when it's more than that.
Somebody was really bent out of shape. Did he have some woman that like liked him and got jealous of this?
We think we know who it was, but we can't prove it.
Mm-hmm.
We think it was another person in the car club
Makes sense. Yeah.
who happens to have a child who happens to get along with his wife.
Mm.
Those two families get along, and the one that ratted us out is the one with the child, and him and his wife used to always buy the child things and do things for the kid. When he started hanging out with me, that stopped
Oh boy.
because he was spending time with me and my daughter.
Right.
And I think jealousy got involved in that her kid wasn't getting the attention.
Oh my God.
So, and her married life was crap.
Mm-hmm.
So she turned it on us. Like, if I can't be happy, nobody's going to be happy.
Right.
Luckily, my husband stopped believing these texts
Mm-hmm.
because he confronted Kathleen.
Yeah,
Like,
makes
"You're there
sense.
with mom. Do you see anything?" And she's like, "Dad, they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're only friends. I never see them do anything else." I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
Right. Right.
you know, but he's like, and I said to him, I said, "Even if it was, they're saying this happened last week." I'm like, "We've been separated for a month already.
Yeah. So who
So
cares?
once we're separated, I don't care who's in your bed. Just don't bring her in my house."
Right.
I said, "We just don't bring the others into this house because it's the family home.
Right.
Don't expose the child to it."
Mm-hmm.
And we had an agreement on that. So, long story short, I've been on both sides.
Gotcha.
And I cheated because I wasn't getting anything at home.
Ditto.
But I would have left him if I didn't have my child,
Right.
but I didn't know how she would take it.
Right.
And well, lo and behold, God took over, or
Right.
the higher being took over
Right.
and made the decision for us. So I didn't have to go through a divorce and custody. Instead, I'm a widow and raising a kid without a father.
Right. Right.
But, you know, do I condone what I did? I like to say I did it because I had no other choice,
Mm-hmm.
but I had a choice. I
Right.
could have left him and done what I did and wouldn't be cheating.
Right.
But
It's hard because you're you're dealing with a lot of emotions, especially when he's not interested, and that sabotages your entire being. Like you feel that you're ugly, that you're not attractive enough, that you're not enough for him, and then you start to really think that you're like, my God, you look in the mirror and now all of a sudden all you see are the things that are wrong, all the flaws, right? At least that's what happened to me, and then
mhm.
you said that it had been over a year. I for my ex-husband and I, it was well, eventually it wound up being 3 years with no sex, but like, it was a long time. And then it was even like the point, and I know my situation was a bit different. Like I said, he wound up being gay, but we weren't aware of that at the time. And like, even just trying to kiss him, like he didn't even want that. He
Yeah, mine
was
didn't either.
yeah. And then he didn't want to hold hands anymore in
Mhm.
public or anything. And
No
it just
cuddling on the couch.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so just it really does a number on your self-esteem. And so um, when you have someone in a situation, so you're in the car club. I was actually had sounds like a funny story. It sounds like a fake story, but it's true. I wound up in a band. We were a cover band. We would play at different bars, and I played keyboards. And I got pulled into the band by a fellow teacher, a friend of mine, whose
uh-oh,
husband
you
was in the
sound like
band.
you're in the Matrix.
Really? I'm not moving, and I'm
Carrie,
on
you
my
sound like you're in
computer.
the Matrix.
I'm on my computer. Maybe it's your phone, babe, because it's not. It's a wired connection.
I'm on the computer.
So am I, and I hear you fine.
Yeah. Okay,
I don't know
now
what's
you're
happening.
okay.
Oh, oh well.
It could be my computer.
It could be my computer. I don't know. So, um, but yeah, I mean, so I was
It
in a
could be mine.
band.
Who knows? You know how
Yeah.
it goes.
So I was in a band, and funny enough, I was also working at. It was part of the. Oh my God, the Sterling Inn, and it was the French Manor. So there's sister inns, and so I worked up at the French Manor, and one of the guys in the band, Johnny, he was a singer. Um, he worked at the Sterling Inn. He worked in the office. He was like the night manager, like the night office manager kind of thing, doing like the accounts and stuff. And it was so funny because I had seen him once or twice, because a lot of times everyone would go out like after work, like late hours to a bar or something. And then when I met him, when we joined the band, we were at his brother's house, and um, and I was like, oh, and he looked at me, I'm like, you're kind of familiar. He's like, you work at the French Manor, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, and it was just like that. And Johnny was 17 years older than me, um, and like divorced twice, had 3 kids, 2 from one marriage, 1 from another. The 2 of the kids were like almost adults, or they were adults. They were in their 20s, and so there was some flirting that started, and it was innocent enough, and because I was like, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have like a decent career. Like, he used to work on Wall Street, and what I don't know what happened at the time. I didn't know what happened, so like he wasn't. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, this is a bad boy Italian guy from Brooklyn. Like, I'm like, oh, and it was all the things I had never ever gone for, and so it was just like flirting. He had a girlfriend. I had a husband, and but when somebody starts showing you attention, it really helps your self esteem, and it's what I needed at that time, and I'm sure it's what you needed at the time that it happened. And like your guy, I did want, I think, Philip to find out. Like, I was feeling guilty, and I got sloppy with hiding things. I mean, he found us. Like, it wasn't like we were doing anything. I was literally sitting in the office at the Sterling Inn while he was counting the box. I was just talking to him. That's all I was doing. But I had told Philip that I was going to go out with a girlfriend to the movies. And he saw me, it was at night, he saw me driving down to the Sterling Inn, and so he followed. Um, I literally was not doing anything, like just talking, and then it blew up from there. But it needed to, and I mean, I wound up being with Johnny for 7 years, um, and you know, and then I cheated on Johnny with Kevin. Jesus. The once a cheater, always a
Well,
cheater thing. Ugh. Well, I mean, I've been with Kevin for 12 years almost now, so and married almost 10, so I think it's okay. But like, I don't know. I just I have no I don't have any excuses. You said you didn't either. I think we both did what felt good. Because and after being with Johnny for 7 years, it's like he couldn't get a really decent job, and so like it was always a struggle financially, and that weighs on things. And then like he was a heavy smoker and a heavy drinker, and so things in that department were a little rough. I mean, he was not mean at all. Don't get me wrong. He was I mean, he treated me like a queen, but it just you can only take so much after so long, and like I didn't think I could change him. I wasn't trying that, but just it was just like it was. I handled that one very poorly. I handled them both very poorly. I'm not proud. Like I was definitely a cheater. Like I feel terrible about that. But also was the attention thing, and like just not like I don't know. It's there's no excuse. What can I say? Not for me. Like I mean, I don't feel as guilty about cheating on Philip because he turned up being gay, but I do feel guilty about Johnny, and I don't know. I just wanted some excitement, I guess, and Kevin came along and he just wanted to be friends with benefits, and I was like, that's cool. Let me try this out. This could be fun. Yeah. Anyhow,
I'm
so.
kind of like you where I don't really feel guilty
Mm-hmm.
about what I did, but I do. Again, mine I think is like a whole kind of weird situation.
Right.
I think my marriage was to the point where, and yours may have been as well, it was done already.
Yeah.
We just didn't know how to say goodbye.
Right. Agreed.
We were kind of stuck in this spot because a few years before I cheated, he had had a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
and his whole personality definitely changed.
Right.
And he was always putting work was always first,
Mm.
which okay, that's important. You got to have work,
Right.
especially at the time I wasn't working, I was injured. So I understood that. But then he put the fire department next,
Mm.
and it was a volunteer. He didn't
Right.
get paid for it. So if a call went in, no matter what time it was, no matter what we were doing, I mean, he left. Now, we only had one car at the time. He left knowing that I had to take Kathleen to a parade for her brownie troop. He
Mm.
left to go on a call and left us without a car.
Wow.
He left, he was supposed to barbecue for her birthday party. He left for a call. I don't know how to grill.
Right.
So there were times where he put those first. And
Gotcha.
then it was like he had friends, he put friends first.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I get it. Sometimes a friend calls, it's kind of important, and I didn't mind when the one friend called because I had more fun talking to his friend than he did. But
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a weird story I'll tell you sometime. But
I think you've already told me.
yeah, I might have. But and then it was like Kathleen came next and his family came next.
Mm.
And I was nowhere on the radar.
Wow.
Like I could walk out, like, not to give a visual, but you take a shower, you get all spiffy for this,
Mm-hmm.
hope. And you walk out and go, "Hi, honey." And he looks at you, goes, "Would you just go put some clothes on? What are you doing?"
Oh yeah. Oh. Oh wow.
And it was like, ouch,
Wow.
or I was like, I'll drop down and sit next to him on the floor and go, let the fingers do the walking. He'd be like,
Right.
"Come on, not tonight. What are you doing?"
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I had a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that for like
Yep.
2 years.
Yep.
And it had started a little bit before that, even.
Yep.
So my self esteem between the first marriage,
Mm-hmm.
being cheated on, and now this, and
Mm-hmm.
I did find this was good. He was in the hospital with a stroke. It was the night he had the stroke, and I had his phones. Yes, two, two phones. One was supposed to be work and one was personal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I decided to go looking on his phones because he would not leave his phones alone. He had a stroke and he still had his phones in his hands.
Wow.
So he finally fell asleep and I grabbed the phones. The nurses gave them to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do it. And I'm like, I'm going to find out what's going on here. And sure enough, each phone had messages from two different girls.
Oh wow.
And both of them were way younger.
Mm.
One was 6 years younger and is the best friend of his sister who hated me.
Oh boy.
And the other was the daughter of someone he went through the fire academy with.
Oh my.
He was 40 something, I can't remember exactly at the time, 43.
Mm-hmm.
He was 43 years old and he was texting a 21-year-old
Oh. Well, hello.
that he held as a baby.
Awkward. Okay.
So I'm reading these after I've spent all afternoon crying my eyes out because my husband has a stroke and is like, can't move on one side of his body, don't know what's going to happen. And I get that. And
And
I'm
this is
like,
prior to being separated.
prior to me cheating, prior to
Gotcha.
separated, we didn't separate till 2018.
Wow. Okay.
And this was 2016. And the texts went back a whole year.
Wow.
So here I am grieving and sad and miserable. I read these, and here I am also with a bad back. My daughter was staying with her aunt. I was in a hospital chair and never left his side
I would have
for
left the side
24 hours.
right then.
Well, I got up and I hadn't eaten all day. I didn't drink anything all day. It was a crazy day
Mm-hmm. Of
because I had to get
course.
from Pennsylvania to New York and I didn't have a car at the time because it was in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So from 10 in the morning until I found the messages at 2 in the morning the next morning. And I walked out of his room and I walked into the hallway and I just stumbled out there and I literally collapsed. And the nurses thought they were going to have to admit me
Wow.
until I told them what I found on the phones. And then they said, do you want me to go hurt him?
You want me to pull his
Next time I
IV?
take his blood, I'm going to mess with his blood veins. I'm
There you
like,
go.
please do, you know. So for me, it was like my self esteem was so low.
Mm,
And I was just starting to like lose weight
gotcha.
and starting to feel better about
Yep.
myself. And I thought he felt better for me. And it was like, bam. And then I just started gaining weight and gaining weight and
Yep.
gaining weight because now I'm like, what the hell? He
Doesn't
doesn't even
matter.
want me when I'm thin. So,
Yep.
but then finally 2018 came and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I want to look better. I want to feel better. I'm losing
Mm-hmm.
weight. I'm
For
going to do this
myself.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when other guys started noticing. And I was like, hey, okay. But then the guy that I was cheating with decides to take his wife's side and go back to his wife. Never told me. He totally ghosted me,
Oh, come
which
on.
not. I
Have
hate
some
ghost
balls.
people.
Have some
If
balls.
you can at least say we're through,
Right.
don't ghost me. Don't
Right.
just stop texting. That's the most childish, stupidest, idiotic, no balls way to handle
Yep.
something.
Wow.
So he started ghosting me. So there goes my self esteem again. And then my husband dies. There really blows my brain. And I was like, this is just insane. It's like, wow. So even now, it's been 2 years, still single. And it's like, plays a number on the brain,
Sure.
not gonna lie. Um, and then having health issues of my own these last 2 years, gained weight back. So it's like, when a guy does give me a compliment, I'm always like, yeah, what do you just want? Sex?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's all you want. You don't really believe those. You
Yeah.
don't believe what you're saying.
What's wrong? You blind? What the hell? You know? Yeah.
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 And it's like there's this one guy out there, and he's always sending me such positive things, and it's always, he's a really great guy. And it's like I'm letting my wall down, and I'm kind of scared, but I'm not scared. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of on that fence because I don't want another cheater.
Right.
You
Right.
know, like I don't know how to explain it.
No, that's perfectly explained and it's totally understandable. I get that. Yeah. I think that when sorry, there's a lot of noise because my dogs are playing.
Oh,
Um,
that's okay. Puppies are allowed to play.
they're so loud though. And so I mean I understand because like I guess whenever I first would be like around let's just call it a prospective boyfriend, shall we say? I never, or even just a guy like when Kevin, or Johnny, both of them and Philip was just my friend when so no, never had any romantic intentions with any of them. But when I thought that maybe I might start to feel something, like I would shut that shit down and I'd be like, nope, not going any farther than they go. And like it was like a defense mechanism for me. Like I wouldn't like, when um, Kevin, first started like, kind of like wanting to hang out, and then I finally was like, what the fuck? What do you expect from this? And the only reason I said that was because I was drunk. So, truth serum, and I think
Oh,
half of
too fair. Oh my God.
our relationship basically got going because we were drinking and being too truthful. Um, but I mean, like when he said it was just you and me, let's just have some fun. I'm like, all right. And I told you, and I've said this before, like, we'd hang out, we'd go, go places, and then like, we'd come back and like, to his place or whatever. And it was like, I felt like he was developing feelings, and I knew that I could. And I was like, nope, 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 nope. He said no, and I'm not going to do it either. But like, then you start getting these crazy messages, and you're like, all right, you're acting like this. So, I mean, that's always been my like self defense. I will only let myself like someone as much as I think they like me. It's worked for me. I have not had a lot of relationships, but I think like we all have a self defense mechanism to protect against that, and you've been burnt like several times. So I mean, your
Yeah,
defense mechanism is going to be different, for sure.
it's funny because like I have like communicated with someone, and like just friends, and no benefits.
Mm-hmm.
We don't live close enough to each other.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a long, long, long distance thing.
Gotcha.
But anyway, we were chatting, and we were talking on the phone many times till like 2, 3, 4 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and he just always makes me feel really happy and good
Mm-hmm.
and cared about. And I remember one night I was like, I could so fall in love with you. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh, you
Why did I
said
say
it.
that? I was like, why did I say that? At least I didn't say I was in love with him. I said I
Right.
could fall in love with him. But even still, I'm thinking, oh, there it goes. I'm done. He's going to
Yeah.
ghost me. I'm done. And it just happened to be that I didn't hear from him for like a day or two. And I was like, ah, shit.
Right.
Like hurt city kind of thing. And I was like, oh my God. And then he had a valid excuse why. And I was like, oh, okay. And I actually told him, I said, I was afraid it was because of what I said. And he goes, no, because I feel the same way. I was like,
Mm,
okay. I'm like, does he mean it? Does it? Like it's even scary just to like have someone say something like that to me now.
right.
I
Yeah.
question,
Of course.
and it's like and it all goes back to like the whole topic of the cheating. It's like, how do you know, like, especially if you don't live with someone, like you live with Kevin, so you would see a difference in him.
Right.
You really do. If you keep your eyes open, you
Oh
can
yeah.
see differences. Let's face it,
Absolutely.
people. Anyone who says it was a total surprise, you
Then
really
they
weren't
weren't paying attention.
that close.
No.
Yeah. But like with dating, and you don't see the person all the time, or maybe you don't see the person at all, and you're just like video chatting
Hmm.
or whatever, it's like they could have a
Oh,
whole
so
other
sorry.
life that you know nothing about.
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely
Like
right.
this person could have a whole nother life, that I know nothing about. And here I am getting feelings, and he's telling me he has feelings. And it's like, does he? Is it?
Right.
What do you believe? What don't you believe? And it's a scary world with the
Mm-hmm.
technology,
Yeah.
because it really is easy. Like, how many I meant to research this, and I was going to, and I just got busy with my daughter today. But I was going to research, like, try and find out how many marriages have failed because of Facebook.
Oh. Or social media in
Because
general. Yeah.
social media in general, but I know, like, Facebook, I know myself, a lot of people come out of the woodwork over the last buku years. I've been
Mm-hmm.
on Facebook since 2008,
Right.
you know, and it's like, "Oh, how are you? I haven't talked to you since high school, blah, 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 blah."
Oh
And it's
yeah.
like,
And all the little
or
flames
ex-lovers
rekindle.
coming up and,
Yep.
"Oh, I'm in a terrible marriage now." This wasn't me, but,
Right.
these people are like, "Oh, I'm in a miserable marriage. Let's hook up for coffee and talk." Yeah, it never stops at coffee.
Right. Not if it's opposite sex or same
Yeah,
sex if you're gay or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
especially if, like, one person's single. It says it straight in their profile they're single,
Yeah. I
you
like the
know?
ones where it says it's complicated. Like, uh oh.
Complicated, I'm staying the hell away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need any
Yeah.
complications, thank you.
No. 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 Yeah.
And it's like, even people, it's just so hard to, like, classify what is cheating,
Yeah. Yeah,
you
because I
know?
mean, what if you've never like been able to like meet the person like like you live farther away, right? And so if you're sexting, right, is that cheating? Like you've never even like kissed in person, but like if you're or even just flirting online, like hey, how you doing? I've been thinking about you, stuff like that.
Here's a
Like
picture of my dick.
what? Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that would be definitely cheating. I mean, but is that literally cheating? Like, and if you
Exactly.
right, because like if you like to me that's cheating, or that's intent to cheat. Now I sound like I'm some sort of lawyer. like, um, but like if it did, like if you were getting divorced, right, and it went to court, like would a judge say that that was like I don't know, is that such a thing, an intent to cheat, or clearly you were involved in a relationship even though that it was online, where you had the intention, like, or I mean, like, that's interesting, like I don't know, does that count legally, I'm
Legally, I can
curious.
honestly answer this question,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
because I did start talking to a lawyer in December. We split in November.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to a lawyer in December, and she asked why I wanted a divorce, and I said, there's no intimacy. She goes, okay, that's a strike against him.
Mm-hmm.
Not performing his husbandly duties.
Right.
That's actually, they can file for divorce
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
Because that also falls under mental abuse,
Mm-hmm.
because it's messing with your psyche.
Sure.
And I brought up he'd been texting women much younger, and they were of sexual context.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, did they ever mention that they met up? I said, no, except one hinted at it, but it never said they did.
Right.
She goes, but it was sexual. And I said, yeah, he described everything he wanted to do to her and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, that is grounds for divorce, because like you had actual accidentally said, it is intent to cheat,
Ah. Wow.
because sexual descriptions were shown. And I was like, but isn't that kind of like, though? And this was how I kind of had to explain to the lawyer. I said, I understand what you're saying. I said, but if they're only talking about it
Mm-hmm.
and not doing it, isn't that not much different than if he's watching porn and imagining?
That's a good point.
Like, he's imagining he's the guy with the girl, or the girl with the guy, or whatever your sexual thing is.
Right.
And she goes, that's a good question. She goes, but I have had divorces based because the man would not stop watching porn.
Oh, wow. So now, can I ask you this question? Because now you have me thinking. So I have, so a close friend of mine. I've known him almost as long as I've known Philip. And I, Philip and I known each other friend wise since 8th grade. I've known this other person since I was in 10th grade. He was the best friend of my boyfriend when I was in high school. And over the years, like we lost touch for a little bit, and then we got back, and like so, you know, I love him to death. He's such a good guy, and he got married a couple of years ago to a lovely woman. Um, and Kevin was actually in their wedding. We were invited to the wedding, but Kevin was actually like one of the
Last minute
groomsmen. Yeah.
groomsmen.
So, but um, the wife has spoken to me a couple of times and kind of put me in a slightly awkward position. I mean, we're very friendly with them, but like, you know, he was like my friend first and for the longest, so I feel like my loyalty would lie with him if they broke up. But she's very unhappy. Apparently, when they got married, they'd lived together for a long time, and when they got married, she said that they were already having problems in the bedroom. Like he wasn't having sex. Their wedding night, no sex. And I'm like, oh God. And then, she said that it's not a matter because he has some weight issues and he's concerned about high blood pressure and like he's nervous like there's heart disease runs in his family and so I said, is he worried about that? Like, the physical aspect of it. And she said that she had asked him and he said no. And then he's on some medications. And I said, well, is that interfering with him being able to perform? And she said, well, I've found him watching porn like a million times because I've even said, hey, do you want to do something like with the porn, whatever? And he almost looks like guilty, like embarrassed, like when he's caught like watching porn. And she said like he will take care of himself but is not like into her. And so if he's you know not performing his husbandly duties, um like watching porn, it's not like he can't stop watching it, but if he's watching porn and taking care of himself, is that also akin to what you were just saying, like what the lawyer said? Like I'm wondering, like it's not like he couldn't stop watching porn, but he'll take care of him. It's like if you take care of yourself and refuse to like engage with your spouse, is that grounds for divorce? It's an interesting question.
Anytime that sex is withheld like that, according to the lawyer, that would be something that they would delve deeper into
Mm,
and it would have to go to court. Like that's not something
right.
that you just put into papers and everyone agrees.
And how long does that have to persist? I mean, everyone has a night where they're like not
One
tonight, honey,
year.
but a whole year.
1 year.
Okay, okay.
If they are completely unintimate, which I don't even know if that's a word, if they're not intimate for at least a year, that's grounds for
But
divorce.
then it becomes a case of he said, she said. Like, what if you say we haven't had sex in over a year, and he's like, she's crazy. We just had sex last week, like, or something like that. Like, how do you can't prove that, right? Like, unless you
I
go to a gynecologist, but even then, I don't think you can really prove that.
It depends on the person. Like me, I was so upset about it. I actually journaled it and I actually wrote in my journal and on
Mm,
my calendar on my phone. I was marking the days that we had sex. And I started doing that when it was like I'd go like a month
mm-hmm,
without anything. And it's like, well, that's really weird. When was the last time? And
mm-hmm,
he would even say, like, I'd be like, it's been a long time. And he'd be like, yeah, it has. How long? So I started keeping track on the calendar.
mm-hmm,
And again, journaling. You journal, you put your date.
mm-hmm.
And the lawyer actually said that is admissible in court.
Oh,
Now, again, like you said, it's a he said, she said thing.
right. I guess it's up to the judge ultimately then.
Right. And it's also if the person who's not performing can prove that they're on medication that lowers their
That could
libido,
possibly, yeah.
like blood pressure medication can lower your libido.
Mm-hmm,
It's a proven fact, heart meds,
mm-hmm,
especially.
mm-hmm,
And my husband was on a lot of those.
mm-hmm.
Um, it, it can lower it. But that's also not an excuse because you can go to your doctor and say, hey, my libido's shot and I still want my wife.
Right. What can I do? Give
What
me
can I
the
do?
little blue
How
pill, right? Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that he wouldn't get hard. He would, because
Mm-hmm.
like your friend, I caught him many
Mm-hmm.
times. He would
Interesting.
leave like the tea towel around, that he used to
Right.
drink. And it was like, really, you can do for yourself, but you can't help me out.
That's
And yet he wouldn't let me get toys or use anything for myself. And if he caught me doing it, he'd be like, "Oh, that's disgusting."
fuck him. Really?
And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Then why did I
You're
clean up the dirty
jerking off
towels
into
on
a
your
fucking
side?"
towel. Yeah, like fuck
You
you.
know, we had many arguments about it. And he actually accused me of being a sex addict
Oh god.
because I was always asking him for it.
Well, yeah, because he never gave it to you. I mean,
That's what I said to him. I said, "Well, if you would put out, I wouldn't ask."
it's I don't understand his I don't understand the guys who like your husband and like my friend who can get it up are definitely still interested enough that they take care of it themselves but then don't want to be intimate with their wives. I don't understand. Where what the hell? I don't get it.
I mean, in the long run, though, I'm kind of, it seems weird to say this. I'm kind of relieved he gave up interest in me after a while
Mhm.
because I started realizing, like, going back through his text messages with this girl
Mhm.
or these girls, it would seem that every time he would have a hot and heavy conversation with the girl was when he would ask me to have sex. I was
Oh,
actually able to match it up with the journal.
gotcha.
And I was like, so he's sexting her, getting hot and horny, but he's having sex with me. He's
Wow.
thinking of her.
Wow.
Like, I knew it,
Right.
and it got to the point where I was like, felt like a whore,
Yeah.
like leave money on the end table when you're done because like
Sure.
he would get his thrill. There was never foreplay ever. It was like he'd diddle daddle with his fingers for a few minutes and be like, "Oh, okay, you're a little damp. Let's go at it."
Right.
With his 2 minutes of fun, and yes, that's being generous.
Mhm.
And then he'd roll over and go to bed. And I'm sitting there going, can I use Bob? You know,
Yeah,
I
right?
need
Jeez.
Bob. So it's really weird how people can do that. Like, I am sexual. I like sex. I
Mhm.
want it all the time if I can.
Right. Same
I
here.
don't think I've really ever said no. Even when I didn't want to, I still did because it was like,
Right.
"Huh, I can get into it. You
Right.
know,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
touch me the right way, you got me."
Right.
Plain and simple. And I can't wait to tell the one guy that. Uh, I don't usually tell my secrets though. I let them find it, and then it's a lot more fun. But you know, I don't understand how someone can just say, "I don't want sex."
Yeah.
I know there's some people out there that have had horrible sex.
Yeah.
I get it, or they've been traumatized. I
Right.
get it. And what's very weird, and yes, I did see a shrink for a little while to figure this out, and I still don't have answers. I've gone through a lot of crap in my life.
Mhm.
I was abused by not one, not two, but three brothers
Mhm.
and a stepbrother and a brother's friend.
Ugh.
And it started when I was like 8 years old.
Mhm.
Okay. I was raped at 15. I had my first husband cheated on me. My second husband cheated on me. I had a guy ditch me to go back to his wife. So you would think I'd be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's it. Goodbye. So long. See you later. Ain't happening. It did the opposite for me. For me, sex is a release.
Mhm.
It is the most tranquil time in my life. You have a good orgasm for a moment after that, there's nothing else.
Right.
You're just floating and you're just like, ah, and I like the intimacy of it. I like making love and I like fucking.
Yeah.
There's two different things.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
I like both.
Yeah. I do too.
Let's mix it up a little bit. But how does someone just say, I don't want sex? And you hear all these stories about these men saying, "Oh, my wife doesn't give out, my girlfriend doesn't do this, my," and I'm sitting there going, "Are these men real?"
Right.
I'm like, "Okay, I know some women who do not like sex.
I do
I
too.
know someone who says her husband takes too long.
I know
Wait, if it
someone
takes
too.
too long,
Yeah, it takes too long. Where she's, where like I watch TV while he's doing it. I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, really? Like you're doing it wrong. You're doing it
yeah.
wrong.
Like, I'd rather have the TV off unless it's playing porn. Then it's like, hey, let's
There you
try that,
go.
you know, or playing music or something.
Yeah.
But I want your attention on me. I want my attention on you.
Mm-hmm.
Blindfold me, and you really got my attention.
Yep.
Because then you're like waiting for the next touch, you're waiting for the next feel.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you say he takes too long? I'm like, all right, if it's taking too long and you're uncomfortable in a position,
Right. That's
say
one thing.
something and change.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, okay, we've done missionary for about 10 minutes now. Can we try something else?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
legs getting stiff or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm getting a cramp. Hello. Uh, might want to spread the bar a little wider,
Yeah. Right.
but I just, and then there's people out there that are like totally against blowjobs, won't do them, not in a million years. Or
Yeah.
it's
I
like
don't
just
get
the
that.
birthday one.
Yeah, that's weird too. I don't. I don't know.
I'm like, people who say they don't enjoy sex obviously are not with the right person.
Right. I
You're
definitely
not.
agree. I agree. There's no other. There's literally no other, unless you're like very like both of you are not like really knowing what you're doing, and then you can educate yourself. There are so many ways you can do that without feeling embarrassed now. Like so, there's really no excuse. You know.
There's so many sites on the internet,
Oh
people. Find
yeah.
something that works for you,
Yeah. Definitely.
you know? And communication is
Yep.
huge.
Yep.
And I'm learning that.
Yep.
I really am. It's like I've always been afraid to say what I want because anytime I have, I was told it was disgusting,
Mm.
it was gross. Why do you want to do that? You're too fat to do that.
Oh my
You
god.
know, I've always been shot down.
Yeah.
Why is my phone chiming?
I don't know. It's very pretty though.
Thanks. That was actually my watch. Sorry,
Oh.
guys. My bad.
That's
But
quite all right.
it's like I don't want to tell people
Yeah.
because I've been shot down.
Right.
So it's always been okay. I'll just do whatever they want, And anyone I've been with, it's like whatever you want. I'll do whatever you
Mm.
want. Totally submissive. Like I will do anything you want. And I'm not even just talking in submissive term of kink.
Right.
I'm thinking about like, oh, you want me to do that? Okay, I'll do that. You want to fuck me while I'm scrubbing the kitchen floor? Okay. You know, you want a blowjob, but you don't want to do anything for me? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it was always whatever their fantasy, whatever they
Mm-hmm.
wanted, whatever they needed. And I'm learning now that when you're with the right person or talking to the right people, you're allowed to say what you want
Mm-hmm.
and desire. And you never know, you might actually find a person that says, hey, me too.
Yeah. The right person is also going to be willing to try anything that you're interested in. I mean, obviously within reason. If like there's something could be dangerous or pain involved, I mean they have but I mean like the right person even then maybe. Like and Kevin has said this to me, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want. Like you're wanting your willingness to learn, right? Like, and I'm sure you've said the same thing. Like, what do you like? Let me, do you like this? Should I do more of this? Tell me what you want me to do. And that's can be really not just. I mean, it sounds dirty. I mean, but it can be. It's actually educational. It sounds silly, but I mean, and it's good because then your partner's going to know what you really do like, and if they're willing to do that, like let them, tell them what you're interested in. Don't be embarrassed.
I definitely enjoy when I'm with someone and they make the oohs and the ahs and the yes,
Mm-hmm.
because then I did that and he did that, so he must have liked it.
Yep. Yep.
So it's like the next time, and it's like, oh yeah, that's it, you know. And it's the same. It needs to be give and take, and I've never had that.
Mm.
Like the guys I've been with are all like quiet, like you get a grunt when they're done. That was
Ugh.
about it.
Jeez.
And it's like, no, tell me, you
No.
want a little
Yeah.
bit of nibbling, you want a little bit harder, you want a little bit of this, or you
Yep.
want a little bit of that, or You want me to call you daddy? Fine, come on,
Yeah.
big daddy.
Right.
But I want response during sex.
Yeah. Same here.
If it's quiet sex, it ain't good.
No, you might as well be doing it with one of the like really expensive sex dolls that you can buy. Then.
Yeah. Or it's like you sit there going, am I doing this right? Am I
Yeah.
doing it right?
Yeah.
Like I've, not to be gross, but I've given a blowjob to guys and they're just laying there and it's like, well, do you like it? Don't you like it? Do I go harder? Do I go deeper? Do I do
Right.
this?
Right.
I'm like trying every trick I know in the book to try and get a response.
Response. Yeah.
And my jaw is broken
Oh yeah,
now.
I know. Jeez, yeah.
It's like, dude, come on, give me something
Yeah,
here.
right. Oh my gosh.
But it's just, and to round it all out with the whole cheating, my thing is if it's something that you wouldn't want someone doing to
Mm,
you or finding out is being done to you, it's wrong
agreed.
and it shouldn't happen.
Yeah. That's a really that I think you're spot on there. I think that's the best way to define it. Like if your significant other was doing this, if you found that this person doing this and you were not happy, then hello, wake up, right? That's really probably a good point there.
I mean, I'm a natural born flirt tease.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's me. I'm a pervert,
Right.
100%. So you might see texts on my phone
Mm-hmm.
that are flirty,
Right.
or you may see me out with someone. Like, say for instance, we're hanging out at your house.
Mm-hmm.
I might flirt with Kevin and joke
Mm-hmm.
around with Kevin,
Right.
but I don't want anything to do with him
Right.
in that way because he's yours,
Right.
you know. And if I'm with someone and I'm there and they see me cheating, not cheating, flirting,
Right.
and it makes them uncomfortable and they say, "Hey, dial it back." I'll dial it back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I understand I can take it too far sometimes. I understand that. I
Right. Right.
recognize that, but I don't recognize it at the time.
Right.
So I always tell my friends, look, I don't want your man. I'm not that type of person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Right.
want to break up a home. Cheating with that married man, I was a whole different story.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
He was supposedly already out of the house.
Right.
So that be that. I don't want to break up a home. I know what it's like to be cheated on.
Mm-hmm.
I know the hurt, and I would never want to do that to someone else.
Right.
The only way I would take it too far is if I knew he was already a cheating louse and you needed proof.
Right.
Then I would help you find that proof.
There you go.
But, again, communication. Just
Yeah. I think that's what it boils down
don't
to.
hide things. Keep Passwords are horrible things.
Yeah.
They really are.
Kevin and I we have a he actually got me with a password manager so that I can have like instead of using like the same password for everything, which is a very bad idea. Um, I have multiple passwords like all like I mean and crazy passwords like ones I could never come up with. And so I realized, part of me was like, I mean, there's like the privacy thing, but then I'm like, I don't do anything that I'm like nervous about him seeing anyhow. So I was concerned more about like if something happened to one of us, you know, he pays some bills, I pay some bills, and like he wouldn't know how to get into my accounts to do stuff. And I'm like, okay, so
Yep.
here, this is my main, password for my password manager, and he shared me his, and so we have access to everybody's stuff. Plus, I mean, like it just like people with cell phone bills, the old time cell phone bills, you can actually look up numbers that people are texting and things like that too. So I mean, like I don't have any reason like to feel like I need to cheat on Kevin anyhow, but like even if I did, I'd be fucked because he has access to everything. So like, oh, that's not a good idea.
Well, see, that was part of the problem too, is that the cell phone was in my husband's name. I had no access to it. Like, even if something was wrong with my phone,
Right.
I couldn't do anything unless I had the access code
Right. Same. That's how
to the
that's my
account.
problem right now. Yeah.
And I didn't have it. Even when he was alive, I didn't have it. He'd
Right.
be like, I'll take care of it. Why so secretive over the account?
Yeah, that's weird.
Why? Because you're hiding numbers on the account that you
Yep.
don't want me to see.
Yep.
And when he passed away, he had set up my daughter's Apple account. He set it up. Never told either one of us what the passwords were.
Ugh.
So she has stuff on Apple she can't even get.
Right.
She has all the music she ever downloaded to her iPod.
Oh, jeez.
She can't get to now because it's locked.
Wow.
We can't get to that account.
Ugh.
So we had to create a new account for her. And the problem was he set up her iPhone and put it in his account with his email and his password. She didn't even know her password for her phone for the Apple account.
Oh, God.
So we had to, her phone died. And I was like, now what do we do? I don't have access to get all your photos and all that other
Nope.
stuff. It's all gone.
Yeah.
All the photos she had on her phone, gone
Oh.
because we couldn't access that account.
Huh.
So that's another reason you brought up a
Yeah.
good point. You never know when something could happen.
Nope, you don't. And with that, you never know when something can happen, like the end of the show tonight.
Yeah.
um,
And put your naughty photos in a separate file so your child doesn't see
yes,
them.
exactly. Very important.
Very important.
One thing, and I forgot to mention this to you before we started the show, but next week we're gonna not be on because Kevin and I have tickets to a whiskey seminar. So I apologize. It's a Monday night, so but I couldn't pass that up. So
I don't blame you. Go have your whiskey and fun.
okay, I'll raise a glass to you though for that. So
Maybe Sunday I'll just have to join you on a drink. We drink and we
oh,
know
there you
things.
go. Pop on
We'll,
in.
we'll embarrass Kevin.
That will be awesome.
Let's do a drink and no thing ladies night.
There we go. And he's gonna be like, I'm gonna go into the room. All right. So with that said, thanks again, love, for an awesome show, and I think that this was a really really good discussion, and I definitely enjoyed it. It was good to hear like another perspective too. So thanks so much. Would you like to have the final word tonight?
Just be aware of the people you love.
Mm,
They show signs, and
mm,
be careful with your heart, but don't forget to know how to give it too.
mm. Oh, it's beautiful. All right. Thanks everyone, and I hope you have a great night.